Bloomberg Audio Studios.
Podcasts, radio, news.
Look, we've got to talk about the impact of generative AI in real life across industries, BioPharma being one of them. And I'm pleased to welcome to the show Paul Hudson, CEO of Sanofi, to discuss how your enormous French biopharma company has been leveraging the new technology in its operations. And yes, there's drug discovery, but also what's so interesting, Paul, is you're integrating it within the functionality of your business on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here. We're really trying to do incredible things for patients and discover new medicines. And, you know, with AI being the great disruptor and all of the excitement last year, the wow of large language models, and this year for us is all about the how and how we can get our, the large amounts of our organization focused, whether you're in a lab doing expert AI, whether you're using generative AI in regulatory or text-driven parts of our business, and importantly, snackable AI when we're looking at really trying to give better decision intelligence for almost everybody in the organization with the sole intent of becoming much more efficient and effective in delivering new medicines. It's amazing, really.
I love this snackable AI. You're using Play, it's a proprietary app, but I've got to ask, sort of, how have you thought about which underlying large language model you should look to, how you integrate this? Do you go to outsource? Do you build it from within, Paul?
Well, look, we're drug discoverers and developers. We're not coders at our heart. So we have this first of its kind relationship now with OpenAI, a partnership with Formation Bio, translating that for us to make sure that we can be customizing large language models to look at drug discovery, to try and drug undruggable diseases to this point. And we're doing things that have really never been done before. It's early days, but it's extremely promising. And remember, there's such a large amount of diseases that don't have medicines available for them because we simply have not had the computing power, the opportunity to deploy ourselves. And now, just now, we're at this next great revolution in science. It's such a privilege, actually, to lead a company at this point. As for Play, our sort of snackable approach, we partner with a small startup out of Germany, Ailey. They've been working with us. They've grown with us. And that's, by the way, open for everybody. We don't own it. We're happy to share it. We want all boats to rise. We're in healthcare, after all. And so the more users, the more fun, the more accuracy, the more chance of discovering new medicines.
So how have your talent reacted? Because there's so much doom-mongering that AI is going to take all our jobs.
Well, I think our approach has been how to weaponize our people to do better. Like, you know, I don't know whether you're familiar with Waze, the driving app, but I see it very much like that. I got to get in the car, I got to start the engine and drive to the end of the street. And if Waze says I'm statistically more likely to have an easier journey turning left rather than turning right, I want that advice. That's crowdsourced large data real time. I want our people to feel they are amplified or multiplied in that event too. The goal is not about less people. The goal is about putting our people to be more effective and to have better decision intelligence. That in itself gives us a great opportunity to do something incredible. And we've only seen a huge appetite. That's why on any given day we have 18,000 people in our organization using the AI we make available. And I think that's pretty fantastic.
Let's talk about doing the amazing, the incredible, because we have just seen a push up in your share price on the day, and you've been reorientating this business of Sanofi and thinking about more R&D, about drug discovery and look, some costly cases in the way that you have to experiment, do clinical trials, but they've paid off today. And we think about the drug discovery when it comes to a key chronic lung disorder. Can you just tell us about what that means for the business?
Well, in Europe, just today, we got approval for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, affects a huge number of people, third biggest killer. We're ready to go now in Europe to be able to provide an advanced therapy that'll reduce their chance of going to hospital by a third. And that's a breakthrough when there's been so little innovation. We aspire to be the world's leading immunology company, and that's partly driven by moments like that we live for in our industry, to do things that transform or protect patients' lives or prevent disease. You know, the reality is we're a very proud, huge, big company, but we wanted to be at the forefront of science again. And we've made some big bets, but appropriately so, to try and make sure our science is some of the most exciting and it's first in class to best in class. And to couple it with our conversation of earlier, the more we add AI, the more we improve our decision intelligence, the more opportunity we have to do more in that space. And I think that's what's catching the excitement in our organization. And we believe we're quite far ahead. I mean, of course, we're very responsible about how we use AI, but others are still hesitating. We're taking our moment.
But sometimes you need good data to feed in to all these large language models, Paul. What about the data on viruses such as, well, bird flu at the moment here in the UK, and the US indeed? Look, there is a worry that the data isn't being good enough in the United States. Is that something that worries you when you need to be developing a new vaccine for that?
Look, I mean, we've been through one pandemic. I think we've learned a great deal about trying to have the best data, and I think we position ourselves to take advantage of those opportunities on behalf of society. Frankly, we played a small part in COVID, but we stand ready should we be asked. The data and its legitimacy, we often that data comes in through government channels, through health systems, and we work at real-time speed to make sure that we have the very best data available. In terms of large language models and the rest of the data sets, we collaborate far and wide. We have partnerships with Okin, with Atomwise, with Exscientia. We really are trying to make sure that we have at our fingertips huge data sets to mean our accuracy and our predictive capability is far ahead of the competition. We won't get it right everywhere. But the data integrity are the absolute fundamental starting place. Our relationship with OpenAI and with Formation Bio, we're putting our own data at play to make sure that they can learn from it too. Again, all boats should rise. We're in healthcare to do good.
You're also selling off bits of healthcare because you're focusing in on the R&D, the drug side, and maybe the consumer business goes. For a hefty price tag, you've been thinking about IPOing, you've been thinking about a sale. How is that process going, Paul?
Well, we announced last October that we were going to become a pure-play biopharma. We want to double down on the things we just talked about. And we have an incredibly successful and energized consumer business. We feel, and they feel, in fact, that they can stand better on their own 2 feet and be independent, raise their own capital, take on their own projects. And we want to support them in that. It's the right thing to do. Our capital should be allocated towards discovering new medicines, and theirs should be about growing their business fast in the market, which, by the way, they're doing very successfully. We've declared that by as early as Q4 24, we'll be ready to go to separate that business. We haven't shared how we will do it, but I think it's quite well known that, we're talking to interesting parties, certainly PE, and we have the capital markets vehicles available to us too. So, no, we're excited for them. There's a huge amount of interest. It's a great business, and we hope to create value for patients, for stakeholders, and indeed for the people in the business.
Q4 24 is pretty notable given that we're in quite a politically uncertain time. Look, we two Brits sit here looking that there's going to be an election and people voting in the UK tomorrow. And then, of course, this weekend is all important for France. How, as a leader of such a French giant, are you feeling about the political risk of doing a deal in this market?
Well, look, in terms of healthcare and being a leader of an incredibly important French company, our first priority is to ensure that whoever governs, they provide a predictable, stable environment, because research is a 10, 15-year process. So, we need to think long term. We hope that whoever leads the country will think long term. We know the current government has been incredibly supportive of innovation and creating that ecosystem. We hope that would continue. Of course, there are people trying to understand what it means for the economy, much like for the change in government, if it's to come about in the UK. And people want that predictability in the markets too. We're a long-term player trying to do the right things for patients, trying to drug the undruggable. And we hope to partner with whoever's in power, of course, because we have to be ready to do our part for society. And so far, we believe that can continue.
Paul, it's been great talking to you. The intersection of drug discovery, of artificial intelligence, snackable AI, as you call it. Paul Hudson, great to have some time, CEO of Sanofi. Stay well.